WeAfric is on a mission to make real change by facilitating solutions for our everyday lives. We'll be joined by professionals and influential individuals to share with you their journey and recipe for success. We ask about their methods and experience. Is it their career, their education, or is it their background? This is our secret sauce to enlighten, uplift, and empower the community where we are all special. Welcome to WeAfric Talk, where our support is our actions. If they don't believe you, tell them to subscribe to this channel. Welcome, my beautiful people. I'm super excited to have you here today and the conversation we get to have. We have an amazing software development professional who'll be sharing the story with us. And when I say amazing, I mean it. What's so special about our guest is that he's knowledgeable, he's very passionate about giving back to the community, and is the living proof that the distance between you and anything you want is the amount of action you take. So please join me in welcoming Ryan Jackson. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us today on WeAfric Talk. Greatly appreciate for you taking out your time to come and sit with us and discuss some of the questions that we have for you. And also questions that you might have for me. You never know how this can work out. So for all our viewers out there who doesn't know who you are, who is Ryan Jackson?
Certainly. I'm from the U.S. It's fun and interesting to say that because I know we're talking to a diaspora, so the U.S. is one of the places. But I'm from the U.S., the East Coast in particular. Maryland. Grew up there and been around that area, lived around that area all my life. I now live in Virginia, which is, a stone's throw not far away from Maryland.
Okay.
Currently, I went to Howard University. From there, I went into the workforce, and currently I'm a software engineer for an international law firm.
Oh, excellent stuff. How long have you lived in Maryland? And how would you describe your life there?
Well, I grew up there, and I was there probably into my 30s. So, I was, born and raised in Maryland. It was a good life. I was from an area, Columbia, Maryland, which is in between Baltimore and DC, is where I grew up. Very interesting place to grow up in. At the time in particular, it was an area where Black achievement was high because you were in between two major cities for one, and it was an area that was kind of geared for that kind of neighborhood, that type of environment for new buildings, this new area, this new place, Columbia, they were creating. So I grew up there. It's kind of like felt kind of utopian a bit growing up, which is a good thing. Good schools, good education in that area. Quiet kind of suburban American life, I guess, when you really think about it.
Okay, excellent stuff. And when you say you lived there, it's quite a utopia type of area, and I know you went into software development from your schooling years. How was that, and how did you get into it? Did you get into it through the qualification, or was it an additional course that you did?
Well, so that's an interesting story because when once I left Maryland, I went to college, went to Howard University, and I went there in the School of Business and went to towards computers and a little bit towards programming and such at Howard University. Okay. But then after I left Howard University, I went a different direction and went to consulting, trade show and consulting management. So there wasn't in between time to me being a software developer. Now, when I came to software development, that was something that the world had changed in my time frame, so to speak. So when I was at Howard, it was a different world than when I actually started software development. So the education was like a brand new thing. So I did take some courses and such, but most of what I've done was self-taught, and then taught, via the workforce. Once you get a job, you get opportunity to really learn from actual projects. That's where you grow in software development. But yeah, I was couple of courses, but mostly self-taught and acquiring jobs. So it's been a process. It's been, I guess, software development. I've been doing that for 14, 15 years now.
Wow,
So,
that's
it's been that
incredible.
process.
So when you say self-taught, was it a case of in the field, or was it more at home, or it was a combination of both?
A combination of both, but I'll tell you, I had eventually I changed them in for PDFs a lot, but I had a bookshelf of these really thick computer books, just a full bevy of those books. So yes, I did a lot of reading at home. I felt like I was actually studying more than I was when I was in the university. I was
Okay.
but it was definitely a lot of studying, but then also you have the practical applications. So you have to get onto projects or get into user groups or get into get a job that allows you to practically apply what you're learning. But a lot of software development is more, to me, it's mostly solo learning. You have to just learn, and do. So yeah, that's my path to get here.
Ah, excellent stuff. Yeah, it sounds quite interesting and intense.
Yeah.
When you got into the software development realm, was there an expectation kind of versus reality, especially living in the diaspora, for example? Because obviously there's this natural idea of the American dream that, there's certain elements that point towards sports, celebrity,
Yeah.
all the different type of areas, but software development is not really something that is pinpointed out as.
No. And I'll tell you, that's a good thought. I think I was more grounded in reality when I started into my software development career.
Okay.
So my expectations, I was a little bit closer on my expectations, because for me I was trying to change over from a lifestyle where I had to get on a plane to go to work,
Okay.
and fly across the country, to a lifestyle where I could be at home in one place and do work and earn money. So my mindset was very clear about what I was trying to do at that time, and like the adjustment in my lifestyle that I wanted to make. But that said, there's still some things that about like you're intimating about the reality of software development. I mean, when you came in there, it's like you kind of got the bright-eyed, creative kind of, I get to build all these cool things, and then you get to the work of it, and sometimes it's not as it's the work, to get in there.
Yeah.
The other thing was the idea, I didn't realize how many mistakes you make in a day.
Okay.
But software development definitely highlights that for you. So that was an expectation I didn't have from it, but it was real. You start to learn how to cope with many defeats all day. So I didn't realize that was going to be a thing.
Okay, nice. But it sounds like you've managed to maneuver the minefield, or if there is such thing as a minefield.
Best way to put it.
Okay, excellent. And what kind of challenges have you faced being in this kind of environment, and also in terms of your trade show experience previously? Was there any challenges, for example, being in the diaspora as well for these type of work areas?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a commonplace theme that happens. Like I said, I was able to ascend, even so, to kind of go back to two different careers, and you can see how in two different, completely different careers, how there's similarities in a way. So when I did the trade show and convention management, of course, I started as a manager locally, and then I grew into a consultant that was able to travel the country doing this job. During that process, though, getting the respect of your colleagues and going to get to that point, it's like you must do a great job to even get the beginning attention to be able to get to the next level. Yeah. So I was going through that process, being a trade show consultant, and being dealt with where, I was one thing that sometimes I attributed to not only just how I look specifically, but then how I look age-wise. People think, they want to always treat you. And this might be what's the word I'm looking for? Two things that kind of come together to make one. They used to always say that I looked young, right?
Okay.
You look young, you need to grow a beard. But that to me was also kind of a different thing that you kind of deal with as you're out there in your growth. Because if you always remain looking young to people and they can keep you in that young place, if you're following,
Yeah.
then you don't excel at the same rate because you're young.
Yes.
You're young, you're always young. And I'm like, no, I may not look as old as you want me to, but I've been doing this for a while. So in the second career, when it's the same type of rate, you, instead of just saying you look young, it's more of now your experience level. How experienced are you? And it's the same thing kind of like in software development, where you go through that same process of having to prove yourself. And that proof takes a little bit longer. But as you go through, if you do the right things, you ascend to different levels. Yeah. It's just as you're ascending those levels, just like my career before, you're less likely to be around people who look like you, yeah, who share the same ideas, background, or philosophy that you were in. So now you're in an environment where you may have started at the level that was more diverse and such, but as you ascend, less diversity, thus less different opinions, thus different challenges. Even though you've ascended to that level and you're, there, you still have those challenges that pop up that you clearly see at this point. Like this is a second career path that has neither have anything to do. Yeah. And second time that I've been able to achieve some success, and you still have that same feeling of the extra step that must be made just to prove the point. Yeah. And it's like, and my point is, how'd you get here to begin with? Yeah. if you didn't prove the point.
yeah, of course. Yeah, so I think you make a valid point that you must have had some kind of knowledge and know-how before you actually get to this point. That's the whole reason why they employed you. Do you think this is a systematic problem, or is it a company problem, or is it just kind of across the board in terms of how it's distributed and how?
I think it. In the U.S., I think it's well documented. It's the way it's designed to be, or has been designed to be, and there's changes and things around, but it's still the design. The original design was what it was. So those challenges still lay before until they're completely removed. But that's where it comes from. That you couldn't possibly be this smart. You couldn't possibly be able to do this part of the job, even though the success, has been proven time and time again by not me, but, many people have proven their success in many different fields. And yet you still get the questions that would say, well, why at this point? How does a person ascend to a certain level without having the skill? Yeah. And that part still remains because of people's, systemic, personal views that have been taught, predisposed. All that plays in, to the way that people view those moments. I just think that certain people who don't really empathize very well with other people don't understand that with my eyes, I can see the situation clearly as well from another angle. So how it looks to me is very obvious. Where for them, I don't know how it does, but it apparently isn't as obvious. But to me, this is what I've been through before for no reason. Yeah. So you do have that there. Like I said, it's how it is. It's the fight you have to go through. It's the saying that your parents give you, twice as good to get half as much. That's something that's been said. As far as long as I've been alive and then some. What does that mean? Why would I have to be twice as good as somebody to get half as much? Yeah. And if that's being taught to both sides, then maybe, unfortunately, both sides might believe that until it's time to actually do the work. And then, in my case, the software development, and then they remember.
Yeah. I think you point out quite a good point of the social engineering that is in place, that we all know how it works, but a lot of us kind of almost turn a blind eye to it is there and it's every day and you got to fight through it every day. What interests me is like, what kind of mindset did you have to kind of get over this, or what kind of micro steps did you take to kind of understand, okay, this is an obstacle in my way, but I'm going to go towards it and just kind of dodge around it and get to where I need to get to.
Yeah, it comes, I want to have this like a unique, very in-depth answer, but it feels like survival,
Okay.
honestly. It feels like, I don't have, it's not a choice for me to determine whether I can lay down for this particular obstacle. I mean, in my case, we're talking about corporate America. So, you can't, there's no option for that in corporate America. We're not, the job isn't so tough in a way that would allow, for that. You just have to endure and just go through into the next day. Your mindset has to be survival. I need to survive this moment. I need to help my family survive. I need to do use what tools are available to me to do what I need to do to perpetuate my family. That simple. I know it sounds as simple as that, but I think that's how we all get through these things. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, corporate America it's a bunch of people talking in meetings. It's a bunch of disagreements and personalities, but generally speaking, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And whatever's behind that, for someone like myself, we don't have the opportunity to we just don't have the opportunity to lay down in that environment. It's just not possible. It doesn't make sense. You want to survive. If you want to, have a job, especially nowadays in this particular time, then it really feels that way. That you need to go ahead and do what you need to do, because if you can't hope for fairness and you can't hope for reasoning, you have to just survive the moment. If the expectation is someone's going to do the fair thing at that last moment, then you're really having a hope that that person or that organization or whatever we're talking about is fair.
Yeah.
And that's dependent. Now you're dependent on them, this is about, we're done. You can't be dependent on them. You have to be dependent on yourself to survive. So, so that's the way I see it.
Okay, excellent. So I was going to ask, so what type of support do you think you'd have liked to have had? I don't know, maybe during your schooling years or maybe during your work career years. What kind of support do you think we might need or someone could actually benefit from?
That's a good question. And I know the benefit. I actually had it at the time when I didn't realize it. When I was young, I had an uncle who was a programmer. He was a programmer as well. And very young when he kind of went through that with me, but which led me obviously to much later through all my life to come back to it, which I attribute back to what me and him did in those times. That being said, that was a short period of my life when I was very young, but that mentorship did a lot. So, what I would have liked more of is more of that mentorship, more working with people who are a little bit more experienced, had a better understanding, have been through, a lot more. Hopefully I would have been in a position of being young to listen. But the point being mentorship, and then through the career, having familiar faces to look at. So when you're going through, like right now as a software developer, my 15-year career, I've had, ups and downs about how that's gone. It would have been nice to know someone who had 15 years in when I was just starting, who was like me, who could have said, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Don't worry about this, but worry about that. That would have helped me a lot on the pitfalls and the things that I went through, going through it. Mentorship, someone to talk to, someone, that would have been it, if I could add anything. That's the thing that I would like to add to other people, when opportunities arise, is to give them my experience so they can at least see what we're getting into and how people may react. Because at the end of the day, we all have parts to play and places to share our expertise.
Yeah.
And who's in those rooms? I mean, we're in a lot of rooms doing a lot of different things, but we need some software developers too. We need that too, because who's going to develop our software the way we want?
Yeah.
In the future. So mentorship, that would definitely be it.
I think you raised a really good point that to find a mentor who is like you or has a similar background can steer you in the right direction, because they would understand you much better and know exactly what you need or what equipment or what kind of tools you need
Exactly.
to basically make it there. Okay, no, it's good. It's quite an eye opener actually, just to think about it, because I remember when I was growing up, I always thought to myself, okay, why do we not have someone to give us this particular type of direction, a sense of understanding what is out there in the environment, in the outside world? So I think that's what we're trying to do exactly at
Exactly.
WeAfric, which is the social platform to kind of bring people together to understand that, you need mentors, you need people that have experience, people that know sense of
Yeah.
direction, people like us without the external noise, which is one of the key ingredients here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's key. To me, one of the things that I think that you're speaking to is I mean, the simple, what I call real help. I feel
yeah,
like people want to be very helpful, um, and they can give you that quick overview of, like, you want to be a software developer, go learn C Sharp or go learn React or go learn Vue, and then that's all they say. But that's
yeah,
not real help. It doesn't really set someone up for the real success that they need, so they're often discouraged. And I
yeah,
think what you're speaking to is just that, the ability to offer real help and real mentorship, because there's real conversations that lead to that opportunity, lead your mind to think and conceive of things that maybe you hadn't conceived of before, and
yeah,
open a new world to you. But you need someone to give you more than just the quick get rich. You'll be a software developer, you'll get rich.
yeah,
Okay, how? Well,
yeah,
go to a class and study. That doesn't help anybody. They go, I can't do this. I don't. So that the ideas you're talking about, yeah, real help. Let's offer real help, real mentorship, real communication. I agree.
yeah. No, it's very, very true. So do you think your culture plays a role living in the diaspora?
Yeah, that's an interesting question about how that plays a role, because over here, I mean, the culture over here, we have so many different cultures, so to speak. You could be, depending on where you're from, what state you're from, even if you break it down that
Mm,
level, what coast you're on, whatever. There's so many different cultures over here, and how does it affect? That's kind of thing I guess a lot of people over here are looking to figure out, is how do we affect the world around us? Because the diaspora is something that I think often doesn't come up for us. It's starting to come up now for a lot of African Americans, and understanding that word, what it means, and what it means globally,
okay.
and how do we affect that? When we see an effect, on TV, and how we affect the world. I mean, a lot of what is done here, you see mimicked or shown or replayed, whatever, in different places. So, but me personally, like I said, that's the part where for me as an individual, we look at it and go, how from a cultural perspective, from all perspectives, how can we affect the world? That's like, for me, like, the software development doesn't seem like a cultural issue until you really think about it in terms of, just like anything else, who if you don't own the land, then who does?
Yeah,
So same thing comes in software. The world seems, as we're going right now, as this pandemic has gone, as everything is, we're more and more in tune with this internet, more and more in tune with software and applications. So now, like I said, who's making your software? Someone was telling me, that they had this company that was doing encryption, this
mm,
really great encryption. And they were like, they were saying how good they were. It's not that they weren't good, but the point at the end of the day was that company was the one doing it. Who are they? Who owns that company? Because I guarantee they own your data. And just because that's their thing. But so those changing the dynamic and opening the door culturally to see that we're doing other things besides what the expectation, putting ourselves into software development, putting ourselves into, obviously the arts and politics, or, construction, anything, but we have to be a part of the whole process from top to bottom.
yeah.
So, culturally, that's what I want to do for, just make sure we're a part of all processes in software development. Make sure we're a part of that process, and we don't just allow everybody to do everything for us.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, as you said, you got a lot of different cultures there, and it's difficult to kind of almost align yourself with one of them. And it doesn't
Yeah,
help that you have the media. or the external noise that comes into play, but it only gives you a certain type of depiction of other cultures. So then you have to kind of almost say to yourself, okay, where do I belong? Okay, which direction do I go to find who I really am? But I think it just all kind of boils down to self-interest. Um, People that you surround yourself with, they probably could tell you a little bit of history based on their culture, and then you might align similar to theirs, or it could be a case of you find your own.
Yeah, and just even within the U.S., because I'm trying to graduate to the understanding of the diaspora, and graduate to that global understanding and kind of move past just the U.S.
Yeah.
But like you say, we division has been sown just between states and different areas of the country, so we have to kind of solve that through communication as well. And that's when we're talking like WeAfric gives you and the global concept of that. That's why I appreciate the concept, because that's what it's trying to do, is break down communication and get it across the board, so we don't have to go through these unreal, and if you really break it down, cultural differences.
Yeah.
It's really, we're not different. We're really all just the same.
Yeah.
So, it's just we don't talk enough to understand that fully. But that is one of our issues. That's one of the things we have to work. And like I said, that for me, I'm just appreciative of the idea that you guys are, and how can that filter down into not only the U.S. but like you're trying to do, other countries, and bring people from the U.S. like myself together with people like yourself. How would I meet you other than WeAfric, and with that type of relationship and environment and platform to do that. I mean that's the solution.
Yeah, it is very much so. And yeah, the diversity that we have, you think about, you've got the African Americans, you've got the Brazilians, you've got the Caribbeans. I mean, there's so many. And then you've got the other Africans who are like Europeans, and the ones who are born within the different countries, the ones who are born in Africa. So there's a lot of, we need to almost get a sense of transparency, understanding, and a lot of communication needs to be taking place where you speak openly and be accepting of, okay, they have different values and different thought processes, the kind of things that we're trying to bring together onto the platform that we're trying to kind of bring out there for our people, to make sure we discuss real issues and find real solutions.
I think that grows. I think that so many solutions will be found, and so many people, that's what I believe in, is that people will come together and find out that they can come to solutions together. But that you can find a solution with someone from the diaspora who's from a completely different part of the world and achieve something. That's the thing that I think will be one of the greatest achievements from this, is to see people such as myself to be able to do things with globally. You've moved to global instantaneously based on your relationship.
Yeah.
Right? And I look forward so much to how that grows with what you guys, what WeAfric is doing.
I was going to say, then moving on from that, what kind of issues do you think we have as a community that make us kind of not take to one another, or be, like kind of liking one another or working together? There must be some kind of breakdown.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with distrust kind of being sown in between people.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not the distrust of an event that happened between two people, between us as people, but things that are sown in there to cause that distrust. So whenever you're talking to another person, like if I'm talking to somebody, maybe I'm trying to do business with them because of how I come off, or how I speak, or my job, or what they think about, all the preconceived reasons why not to trust someone in my position pop up. They all supersede the fact that there's a similarity between us that maybe I'm seeing and wanting to, boost.
Yeah.
So like for me, like I said, back to, not to continue to pound on software development, but as a software development, some other folks may not trust me because we're in software development, where they might trust another face. And it's like, why? That's because it's sewn into well, he can't do that. Why? He shouldn't be able to, he's going to cheat. It's all these things that pop up that are not really between us, that if you were able to eliminate those immediately, or just never put them on the table, the amount of things that could be completed would be just, it'd be, mind-boggling. But that distrust that's sown in between us just permeates the relationships and stops them before they start, before someone's really willing to listen to what you have to say and to see what is this person's opinion, what do they truly feel. I hear how they're saying it, I hear what angle they're approaching it, but taking the time to evolve that trust in someone instead of that distrust, I think is our main issue. Just giving a chance to speak, and then to really give an opportunity, because I think there's so many missed opportunities between us, where if this person would have gotten with this person and they were able to have a safe place to talk and develop their idea, there'd be who knows how many people I can't imagine the level of success, but those opportunities get missed because of distrust that's not even real. It's just sewn into our communication, before we have a chance to even really talk to each other. Do like what we're doing right now, where we're just talking, and let's see where we end up. That's what should happen, as opposed to me determining whether I want to talk to you or not based on where you're from or what I think of where you're from when I've never been there even. So, and that's what we do. We tend to judge without any context, and then distrust.
It's only a matter of time before this is changed, really. But I always believe that we've got to take micro steps, basically one step after another, to make sure we do it the right way, within the right amount of people who have the right mindset to think like this. Because as you said, there's a lot of distrust that's been sown into the people. So they only believe really one way, and approaching things in only one angle. They're not really believing that there is another angle, So I think, as you mentioned, once we kind of approach this in a transparent way, we can definitely get there. And, as you said, the possibilities are endless once we start working together, And just
think of all the things that have been done on the, on this planet. By us as people. Look at all the achievement. Just look. Imagine if all the intelligent people who have achieved all these things get with the other intelligent people who have achieved these other things, and then all of a sudden they come together. What achievement? What? We've seen history before. For 10,000 years, we've seen achievement, right? Of working together. Imagine that's what those minds do. That came from people working together, It's over the last, X number of years, 500 years, that we've had this bump in the road of working together, that we need to solve. That, to me, I don't know that I wasn't alive then, but the amount of achievement and the amount of things that have been done, they must have been working together. With more unity than what we're doing now. And we're still achieving as individuals. So many good people out there doing so many good things. They're just not doing them together yet. For the benefit of each other. They're doing it for the benefit of the companies or the places they work. But when they benefit each other, then that's a different level, right?
I totally agree. We're going to skyrocket, as the terminology usually says. What advice would you give to anyone thinking of, let's say, for example, migrating from a country of origin or from Africa as such to the diaspora in the States? Because obviously you've got quite a amount of experience there.
That's an interesting, in today's climate, it's a very interesting thought. But my advice, I guess, to someone who wanted to come here, I would say to be focused on what it is you want to achieve when you're here, to limit the distraction to the left or to the right of you and focus on your goal. And whatever that goal is, achieve it. And once you achieve it, do something bigger with it than just have a job here. Hopefully the opportunity, whatever brought you here, is something that you can bring back. Because if it's good for you here in the US, I assume it could be good for you if not better from where you come from. So to me, I would be focused on what it is I'm trying to achieve and not getting caught up in what's here. We're starting to realize the world's a bigger place than just the US. So I don't see why someone should come over here and assume that this is everything to be. Learn what you need to learn. Do what you need to do. Get what financial, whatever you need to do, focus on that. And then focus on you, from that point forward and what you can do wherever that may be. But come with the goal and complete that goal. Don't let it be a forever goal with no purpose but other than just making money where you currently sit. We can all do that, in the US. Well, I came to say that in today's time, right? Yeah. But it's can be done here in the US, but can you do something more that makes sense for the bigger picture and for yourself, for that matter, especially someone coming from the continent or coming from the diaspora here, be focused, have a goal, and then take it back and make it big where you're at.
I think that's great advice. So just be focused and make sure no distractions and get the job done, as they say. Just reinvest back in your country, wherever you're from. Could be Africa, it could be Brazil, it could be Caribbean, just anywhere, because we're literally all over the world. So whether you consider to be your home, is a good thing to basically go back and invest in it, and you can help the local community, you can help the local people.
So to me, it also saves someone, the next young person who wants to make the same journey as the person who would come. If they bring whatever they found over here back to where that person's journey is much shorter. They don't have to make the trek all the way to the US to get whatever they were looking for, that it will be there with them, because you shouldn't have to go somewhere else, to get what you need. If it's not there, let's bring it there, right? Especially for each other, because like I said, there's diasporans all over the world. Why can't we all share in the same things? Benefit from the same tree, the internet operates that way, business operates that way now, so we should all benefit that way. You shouldn't have to come just here to get what you need. But WeAfric, online platforms, WeAfric, go there. That's the point, right? See, that's what we're talking about. So kudos to that idea.
Thank you, and we're privileged to have you on board with us to give you a sense of direction and also opinions and just the ideas. So that way, working together and from a different point of view opens up your mind and also gives you a different perspective, which is the great thing about it. If there was one thing you wish you knew as you're either growing up or within the industry, what would that be?
One thing, that's a difficult question in the sense, because the one thing that you'd want to know is, or what I would have wanted to know much earlier, is more about business and entrepreneurial, pursuits, and understanding what that's about more than just jobs. Now I had a company at one time, so I understand it, but I wish I would have understood a lot earlier and embraced the full idea of not only just having your own business for the sake of you, but what that means in the community, and in your greater global community, as money is passed from business to business, from person to person, where you begin to fit into that, and what decisions that's allowed you to make, in being in the industry. So, kind of understanding the term and wanting more, appreciating the idea of being in business for the sake of not only for myself, but for people like me, to give, those opportunities where you're talking about, where, they have an opportunity to work with a business that is geared towards their particular desires and needs and such. But me being just like everybody else, it was about a job, work for somebody else, work and, you know, try to do whatever for this company and that owner, as opposed to thinking about business, you know, and being in business for yourself and being, you know, and expanding yourself globally. It feels like I'm going into number two, but since we're talking, you know, other thing I would say was more of a global view. You
Yeah.
know, I should have really said, because that's the one thing that I thought was missing when I went to Howard. I had a more of a global view, but as soon as I got out of Howard, it kind of went to a job view and
Yeah.
lost the global part. Maybe being more focused on that as well. You know, it would have been. I imagine if something like what we're doing now. I mean, obviously, years ago that wasn't available the same way. But imagine if we could have communication, or would have had communication from, you know, a very young age.
Yeah.
Someone like you and me. I mean, imagine what we might have achieved globally,
Yeah.
having just spoken for all this time and coming up with good ideas, bad ideas, or whatever. But if we were in communication, you know, so if I have more of a global understanding, I think that's what this world can benefit for the diaspora. Is let's get global. Let's just go ahead and get global now, so we don't have to miss out on ideas and opportunities with each other. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, those two things I would say. I know we worked for one, but you know, as I was talking, I was like, there's this global part of it that we're doing now that I wonder what, you know, what were the possibilities if I had been talking to people globally since age 20 something, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows what businesses or what opportunities or where I live, or, you know, what the, you know, who knows what would happen, you know, in that situation. So yeah, those are things that I think that, you know, young people in particular, but all of us can kind of improve to make sure we're looking towards is trying to be entrepreneurs and trying to be global.
All right. No, I think that's a good thing. Being entrepreneurial and global vision of how you want to achieve it, I think is very good. So we generally tend to end the show by giving you the stage for 2 minutes or so for you to give your advice to our people out there, and I'm sure they can benefit from listening to such a fine, distinguished gentleman as yourself in terms of knowledge and everything else. So you have, 2 minutes. You can tell them what you think, and the floor is yours. So just let everyone know.
Okay, so I guess, well, thank you for having me to this interview. I think that's wonderful to have a chance to talk. I think that leads to the point of what we're doing and why we're doing it. WeAfric, I think, like we're just saying, this global communication process. If anything, I implore people, you know, start to expand your horizons. You will be very pleased if you really just give it an opportunity to people that you can meet that have a completely different worldview and world experience. It will help you to. I've in a very short time met people such as yourself who I've been able to communicate with and see similarities and see where you're going and understand, and so many different people and platforms, you know, WeAfric, what you guys are doing, that to me is what we need to step to, is global. Get global. Don't stay in your local bubble. Get out and meet not just the people in your area, not the people at your job, not just the people in your state or your country. You never, the possibilities become endless if you meet people from other places and can connect and talk. So my thing is, I would implore people to make those connections. They're available now. It's possible. We're doing it now. You know, I'm here in US, you're in the UK, and we're having a brilliant conversation about, you know, about so many different topics. More like that, I think, helps so many people when they realize that there's other people like them in totally different parts of the world that you can not only work with, but relate to, and you know, like family. You don't know until you reach out. So let's start reaching out. You know, I'm reaching out. You know, folks like yourself reaching out. Let's all talk. Let's see what comes up.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was great advice. I think people cannot really go wrong by putting these into practice and making sure that they, you know, even if it takes one step at a time, because not everyone is, extrovert in terms of just going out there and being in the faces of other people and saying what they think. So it might just be minor steps, but take one step at a time, you know?
Yeah, that's the good thing about these kind of platforms is you can take that little step and join, WeAfric, but you're not like, so you're not immediately put in this room of people that you're intimidated by. You're just in a room of opinions. You get to kind of work your way in and work your way to these relationships. Nothing should happen in a day.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful part. Like you said, small steps,
Yeah.
small steps. But take those steps to be global. Take a little one and let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go. Yeah, I'd like to offer my thanks. It's been an amazing experience to talk to you, Ryan, in great depth like this about different issues. And I think, we've kind of tackled them the best way we can for now, but we're striving to make sure it's better. Striving to make sure we learn constantly. We're striving to make sure we communicate appropriately, show transparency, show trust. So these are all the kind of things that we're doing. But it would be interesting to hear what our viewers have to say. You guys can just leave your comments in the section down below. Let us know what you thought of the discussion, what your opinions are.
Thank you for having me. WeAfric, I am because we are.
Thank you for watching the latest episode of WeAfric Talk. We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. Be part of the WeAfric family, subscribe and share. And remember, we're here to shake things up, reverse the flow, and be great. I am because we are.